This is NBA Morning Scoreboard presented by Pacers Time Podcast. Today, the Eastern Conference Finals start. That's at 3:30 on ABC, Pacers and the Heat. You can catch a full preview of that game today on Pacers Time Podcast, and you can listen to everything that happened last week in the previous series against the Wizards. You can catch up on all the Pacers information in Pacers Time Podcast coming up later today. But for now, we're going to look at this from a different perspective that you won't see it later today. It's from the Miami Heat's perspective. Right now, we can see that the Heat are the better team. The Pacers are regrouping and they're trying to get back together. But right now, this Heat team has played, 9 games? They've played 9 games this playoff series. They are clicking. They're playing like a team. Dwayne Wade is back and he's playing very well. Chris Bosh is also playing very well. You have Ray Allen coming off the bench. He's scoring extremely well, and he's even grabbing quite a few rebounds. So it's really been a combined effort here for the Heat, and if the Pacers want to beat the Heat, they have to be able just to get in the post and grind. The Pacers released Andrew Bynum, so that's a little bit of breathing room for the Heat, and the Heat still have Greg Oden. I'm pretty sure they've been saving him up for specifically this series. They're going to have to be able to play big. Roy Hibbert, a big factor is what the Heat have to look out for. He's had a couple of big games, and then he's had a couple of just minor games that he's played decent. But is that just decent play? Is that going to affect the way that the Heat play? If LeBron James definitely has to be able to work into the post. That's where they get their offense flowing, is when they can get LeBron James a run, or Chris Bosh, if they can catch him in the post. That is where this Heat team thrives. And if they can't do that, it's going to be a long game, because then they're going to have to rely on their outside shooting, which is okay, but when they start running the floor, it's a totally different ball game. When Roy Hibbert was in his drought, that was when the Heat beat the Pacers the worst, because he was virtually non-existent in the post, and they were able just to run the floor and just get bucket after bucket in the paint. But if Roy Hibbert takes back the paint in this game, and the Pacers go up 1-0, I really think that this could be a series that could drag into 7 games, maybe 6 games. But you got to look at the way that the Heat have been playing. And if they can find a way, or maybe even if they can just rely on their outside shooting, I think that they're definitely going to win this series. Now, for out west, it's the Thunder and the Spurs. We'll get more into this tomorrow, but it's almost the same old, same old. The Spurs are a team that could beat the Heat. The Thunder are a team that can beat the Spurs, but can't beat the Heat. The only realistic way that I see the Thunder matching up against the Heat is if Kevin Durant, you can't have LeBron James or Chris Bosh. If you're OKC, you can't have them guarding Kevin Durant face up. That would be a nightmare for Kevin Durant. He's too afraid to dribble. That is the one key. That's all the Heat have to do to beat this Oklahoma City team. Guard Kevin Durant face up. We saw in the Clippers series, the Clippers did that. They put Chris Paul on Kevin Durant. For like 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, he went scoreless. And he was taking awful shots. Because he knew if he dribbled the ball, it was going to be right in Chris Paul's hands. It's really easy to beat this Thunder team. But then you look at the Spurs, and they do have the best shot of beating this Heat team. They have depth. Kawhi Leonard has been playing extremely well. He had a very good series against the Trailblazers. Tony Parker's questionable. If he doesn't, if he's out for this series against the Thunder, it's not going to happen. The Thunder have lost Serge Ibaka, so that's going to make life a little bit easier for Tim Duncan, but he has to play the very physical Adams there in the post. And to me, Adams is just, he's crazy strong. He's just not, he's fearless. He'll go out there, and we saw him elbowing Blake Griffin in the face. This is a physical player. I love watching him play. It's going to be a treat watching him play in the series. But as long as the Spurs can keep Tony Parker, they get Tim Duncan grabbing rebounds and making shots, Kawhi Leonard starts playing extremely well, and Manu Ginobili comes off the bench and is able to produce like he did in the last series, it's going to be easy for the Spurs to beat the Thunder and for the Spurs to potentially beat the Heat or the Pacers. So my picks right now, Spurs and Heat rematch of last year. And to be honest, this game today, the Heat are probably going to win this one. We see the Pacers still regrouping. I think the Heat are just going to be able to come in, and they're just going to be the better team. So that's all I've got for you today. Again, 3:30 on ABC. We'll get a little bit more of the Pacers' perspective and the previous series on Pacers Time podcast. You can catch that this afternoon before the game. I thank you for listening. This has been NBA Morning Scoreboard presented by Pacers Time Podcast.